that now. Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us, and thanks for those people who have joined us early, nice and early. Thank you very much. Take your seats, another couple of minutes before we start today's hybrid world webinar, concentrating on hub into financial services sector. So thanks for joining. We'll be along in a couple of minutes. Hello everybody that's just joined. Thanks for joining this Hub in a Hybrid World webinar focusing on financial services. We are T-minus 60 seconds, so thanks very much. Still time to grab a quick coffee and just before we start this webinar. So thanks for joining. Won't be long now. Hello and welcome to today's Hub in a Hybrid World webinar, where we are focusing on Microsoft Surface Hub, specifically in the financial sector. What we know is that financial sector has been quite an early adopter with Microsoft Surface Hub, probably to do with all the collaboration that they're doing in that sector. So what we want to do today is share with you some of those stories. We've got some live demonstrations for you as well a little later on. So thank you very much for joining us. You're going to hear from Renee from Microsoft US in a little while. So Renee is going to be talking to you specifically about the US team and how they can help you. So let's work together on this. So let me start by sharing a quick sizzle reel that's gone live actually this week, focusing on the financial sector. Now, I am just going to do a couple of caveats here. One is, please post your questions into our Q&A facility. I want to make this as interactive as possible. So it's super important that it doesn't become a webinar. And if anybody knows me, you know that I've posted something fairly recently about webinars and how I really hate them. So let's not make this a webinar. Let's make this something that you get involved in as well. And secondly, if you hear me or see me speak when I'm on mute, I apologise for that. My colleague Yazine is on duty because I have a tendency to do that. But let's switch straight to the sizzle reel that's just dropped now. Please share this with your customers as well.
Finance teams, banking and insurance organisations have all adapted to a hybrid way of working with colleagues dispersed across branches, working from home or attending customer locations. The Microsoft Surface Hub 2S revolutionises collaboration. Together with Microsoft Teams and native applications such as Power BI, multiple pieces of content from both in-room and remote participants can be shared and combined, creating new insights and actions. The 85-inch canvas on the Surface Hub 2S delivers a stage ready to compare and contrast information side by side, even incorporating live data from the internet. These companies need a solution that brings teams together, pull and analyze key financial data to contribute to reports and presentations, ultimately creating dialogue between multiple stakeholders. For ultimate mobility, the addition of a roam stand from Steelcase and a battery from APC delivers complete, cable-free workspace flexibility. A recently introduced feature, Proximity Join, connects the participant to the meeting at the touch of a button using Bluetooth beaconing functionality. The Surface Hub 2S, in a hybrid financial world, delivers secure access to collaborative work, and once the meeting is concluded, a simple confirmation of end meeting ensures all information is removed and the Surface Hub 2S is ready for the next engagement. Real world, real interaction. Surface Hub 2S bridges the digital and physical divide in today's hybrid workplaces, further enhanced by the global availability of Microsoft Surface Hub 2S 85-inch in 2021.
So I hope you enjoyed that, and I really hope you can share that with your customers as well. We're super excited about what Surface Hub can deliver for us. And that's still playing again. Let me stop that. In today's world, and it never ceases to amaze me how many different ways people can use Teams, can use Hub, can use Microsoft Teams devices in their particular vertical, and we're going to highlight some of those today. But enough from me already. Renee, I'd love for you to take over and tell us a little bit more about how Microsoft can support us.
This is great, Jane. Thank you again for having me. Again, my name is Renee Abrams. I'm a Microsoft Partner Development Manager for Surface Hub here in the US. And I love that video. It shows seamlessly how all of the devices can interact for collaboration, starting with the Surface Hub. So, thank you for joining us today. We're in the third of a series of 4 webinars highlighting Hub in today's hybrid world. We now look at the financial sector, which offers many different verticals, all with a variety of challenges. Before COVID, there were competing pressures across the industry, the need for change having to be balanced with strict operational requirements, especially security. The new hybrid world created by COVID has massively stretched the industry, forcing an unparalleled level of change, which has highlighted the need to strategically position collaborative tools into these industries of digital workflow and making them mission critical. Today, we will look at how Microsoft Surface Hub 2S can contribute to this change, delivering a unique and secure solution capability. Remember, Microsoft continues to support partners with the right informative collateral to enable you to engage with your customers. Today, we are specifically highlighting Surface Hub 2S in financial environments and gaining insights with first-hand knowledge from Collab Tech unique perspective. We will be sharing stories from deployments across all of the globe. Also keep in mind, we have many pricing programs in market today to help you offer competitive pricing for your customers and ensure we are supporting you, the partners, with some extra margin. Please reach out to your Surface Hub champ at either Ingram Micro, Synnex, or Tech Data to take advantage of these. And then finally, in addition to this session, there is more information to help you build an opportunity in the recently published Surface Hub ebook and supporting infographics, both of which we will be sharing with you after these webinars. So now, Jane, please tell us what's up next.
Mute. You're on mute, Jane.
Jane, you're on mute.
Thank you, Chris Ebner. That is so kind of you. And I was so in my flow there. Yazin, you're sacked for my mute detective. So Renee, thank you for that. It was a great introduction. You weren't on mute, I was, done it again. Great introduction to what we're talking about today. So Hub in this hybrid world. And as Renee talked about, how Collab Tech are involved here. Collab Tech are an organisation that doesn't sell hardware, but supports the channel with the services to deliver, deploy, and actually make Hub work as the way it's intended, but actually work in this particular sector. So we're talking about financial services today. So I really just wanted to bring your attention to some market stats, and I think it's quite important that we level set here, because the financial sector, when we talk about that, it's quite a broad subject. So bear with me, I'm just going to give you some facts and figures in order just to see where we're coming from on this, because perhaps we all have dealings in the financial sector, from our loans and our mortgages to maybe some wealth investment with some management companies. But it's one of the oldest sectors here, but it's very traditional, as it says here. It's very secure, and it is one that's steeped in a lot of history, but it's huge. As you can see there, it accounts for $26 trillion globally, and that's how much it adds to our economy. And this is still growing. You can see there 6% year-on-year growth, which is incredible. It's fueling the world's economy, and it's also an amazing barometer for how an individual country is doing. So, and a great barometer on that country's economic health. 7% of the world's GDP, so the gross domestic product here, it derives from this financial services sector, but it punches well above its weight, because only 4% of the world's workforce is involved in this sector. So immediately you can see how valuable those people are in this sector, and how we must make sure they're highly trained, but also supported with their communications as well. So we've talked about how it's traditional, but it's also very, very secure market. And because of that, it needs to be highly regulated. So processes and regulations and compliance. And it's great, because they're dealing with our finances. So I'm really pleased that they're highly regulated. But they have this highly skilled workforce, and those people need the skills that are most up to date. We need them to be skilled and armed with the most up-to-date regulations within country, dealing multi-countries, on looking after our money, and all of that ongoing training needs to be delivered somehow. And how do we do that in this hybrid world? Again, this is a question a lot of people are asking. And if we go back to what it was pre-COVID, the financial sector is a huge sector. It's banks, it's investment companies, it's insurance companies, even real estate firms are actually within this sector as well. But it's traditionally been slow to change. And when I say slow to change, almost changing at a snail's pace, until a couple of things happened. The rise of the fintech sector. So the financial sector that was really used technology to deliver services. It was able to reach more people, and it was able to reach more people quickly. And this has put our traditional financial services organisations under a lot of pressure. And also the 2007 financial crisis increased the pressure on our traditional financial organisations as well. So what we need to do here is, we've got these knowledge workers who work in this financial sector not feeling digitally empowered pre-COVID. And actually, I can give you a real example. Pre-COVID, a friend of mine who works in this sector, he believed he would never be able to work from home. He's quite high up in an organisation, but COVID changed all that. And what he said was, he doesn't think, if COVID hadn't happened, that their company would have ever taken the risk into remote working. And that's super interesting from my point of view. How this situation we're in now has changed mindsets out of necessity. It's now not, well, wouldn't it be nice if we could? It's now we have to. So where are we now in this COVID world? Well, it's forced to change. We've seen this huge shift. I hate to use the word pivot because it's used all the time, but people have changed the way they work. And what was a traditional on-site organisation has moved to a dynamic organisation that has remote working at its heart. is dealing with customers in a virtual way because they've had to, and also compliance and security measures have changed as well very, very quickly because they've have to, obviously. So where does that leave us? So we know that this sector can change. It hasn't changed before, but it has now. We believe there's going to be a hybrid way of working. We don't know, but the signs and the research tell us, if we look at the recent Gartner study, 82% of business leaders are saying that they are planning for some kind of remote or virtual work. And the financial sector is not immune to that. They'll be doing that as well, and where that mixed location workforce will be the norm. So there'll be a huge focus on fluid real-time engagement, and centered around these trusted and secure platforms. Obviously, I'm talking about things like Microsoft Teams, because those employees that are remotely and dispersed over particular geographies, not close to their customers, they need to be close in communication. So they need to enable a better way of communicating and collaborating. They also need to be able to access training in a secure and compliant manner as well. So technology here is going to be the main enabler. We often talk about the 4 things you need to think about when enabling a collaboration environment. It's the people are first. So they need to be trained, they need to be enabled, they need to be on the right platform. We talk about process. So is the process right? Is the platform right? We talk about the space. Well, when people are working from home, we can only help them with that space. We can't enforce a change, but certainly when we come back into the office, we can ensure that space works. And finally, we talk about technology and where we deliver that strong decision-making environment to connect all types of workforces. And Hub certainly does that. And we're going to see some great examples of that in just a moment. I'm going to finish on a quote I found from a guy called Jim Liddy, and this is available on the internet, KPMG chairman of Global Financial Services. So not a small job and a very important one. For him, he believes that the #1 priority for every financial service coming out of COVID is going to be looking ways to rapidly accelerate the digital transformation and cloud enablement in all sorts of sectors. So through productivity, through technology enablement, and I thought that was really super focused from his point of view. Get the technology right, get the environment right and the platform right, and you are creating a great environment for people to work collaboratively. And there was a really great sort of last phrase here, looking for that new reality. What is our new reality? Well, you know, we know that COVID-19 has brought some terrible suffering to lots of families and I think every country around the world, and that's not to be belittled at all, but it does ensure that organisations are fundamentally rethinking their traditional operating models, what they used to do and what they used to, you know, almost out of history. They're doing things differently. They can't work the way they used to work. So, and he goes on to say that he actually believes the financial services market of the future will largely be shaped by those firms who can anticipate what tomorrow is going to bring. COVID has made us wake up very quickly, but we have to deliver on the priorities today in a different way. And he goes on to say they're the ones that are turning the COVID-19 experience to their advantage and building the capabilities they require to survive in this new reality. So the new reality of working in this post-current COVID world, this is where we are right now. So what we've done is we've taken a collection of experiences that we've been doing over the last 5 years of CollabTech, of working with Microsoft Surface Hub globally, and we've put it into a short demonstration. So what my colleague Yazin is going to do is demonstrate to you from a financial services angle some of the applications that we've seen, because what we hope this will do is spark some ideas for you to take this back to your customers. So let's move on.
In a hybrid world, my name is
Thank you.
I'm a collaboration specialist at CollabTech, and we help people work better together. And welcome to Hub in a Hybrid World. This webinar will take a particular focus at the finance industry. So let's jump straight into it. Rule number one in finance, as many of you will no doubt be familiar with, is that time equals money. If you save time, it directly correlates to saving money or earning money in some cases. This was of course true pre-COVID, but it's become even more true in 2021, where social distancing and streamlining of operations has proven to be a challenge for many organizations around the world. Now, there are many factors to consider when saving time. There are having all the necessary stakeholders and decision makers in the same place. There is having all the resources together and getting everything ready to go, essentially, in a nutshell. Now, where does Surface Hub come into this? The Surface Hub acts as a central all-in-one platform for your collaboration needs, allowing you to have everything within arm's length of where you need to be. You're able to communicate, set up audio-visual communications, and collaborate seamlessly and easily using the Surface Hub. The finance industry is one of the largest sectors in our world today. It starts from many large corporations and trickles down to many small businesses, all of which share some similar challenges. Now, how does Surface Hub actually solve those challenges? The Surface Hub is about three things. It's about dissolving boundaries, it's about mobility, and it's about creating a digital workflow. It's about dissolving boundaries between the physical and the virtual world, allowing digital and analog content to interact together seamlessly, allowing you to superimpose writing over digital documents. It's about mobility because the Surface Hub has virtual mobility as well as physical. The steel stand allows it to be moved around, and the optional APC battery, in addition to that, also means that you won't lose power or connectivity when doing so, allowing you to continue working easily. The digital workflow of the Surface Hub is about giving you all the tools you need at your fingertips so that you can continue in your digital stride without having any interruptions. These three things together are the real staples of the Surface Hub. Ourselves at Collabtech are in a unique position where we only supply through the channel. This means that we've gone on thousands of deployments all around the world and across many different business sectors, in particular the finance sector. What we have done is collate all this information into a very short webinar where we've told you some of our favorite success stories from finance and how people in finance are using Surface Hub to change the way in which they are working. This is so that you can go to your customers in finance and tell them these stories of how Surface Hub has revolutionized the finance industry. So let's jump straight into some examples. Let's take a look at how Surface Hub is being used in finance. In one example, there was a financial advisor that we work with who works with real-time stock market changes. His job is to present investment opportunities back to his clients in a way that they can understand easily and seamlessly. Now, many of us are familiar with how Surface Hub is used in a planned environment. However, in an environment where hours, minutes, and seconds are very important, it is absolutely imperative that the Surface Hub is also used in an ad hoc way. This is exactly what this financial advisor would do. He'd come into his office in the morning and keep an ear to the financial ground, so to speak. He'd have to know exactly what's going on in the stock market and if there's any real changes going on. If he does notice something of interest, he would then use the Surface Hub to quickly initiate a two-way line of communication with his client by simply starting a Microsoft Teams call. The crisp audio-visual facilities of the Surface Hub means that this is always going to be clear depending on your bandwidth, of course. With the Surface Hub, you aren't just limited to audio-visual communications, you're also able to interact with the data that you have, allowing you to dissolve boundaries between analog and digital content, as we mentioned earlier. This client in particular would take a screen grab of what he was looking at on the stock market and import that to the whiteboard. This then allowed him to annotate directly onto the whiteboard with his client so that he can present and explain the investment opportunity easily and seamlessly. He was able to highlight real-time trends with absolute ease. This was also a two-way street because the client was also able to interact directly onto the document, enabling them to ask questions and make comments easily and simply. As you can see, this brought together the three elements of communication that many of us are familiar with, the audio, visual, and interactive element. And this is where the Surface Hub's real strength lies. It's the ability for all three of these things to interact easily and seamlessly. This allowed an excellent level of understanding between the client and the financial advisor, facilitating quicker decision making and allowing them to strike while the iron is hot, so to speak. In this case, it actually resulted in direct monetary gain for both the client and the financial advisor because of the speed in which they were able to react. Let's take a look at another example. In this particular example, an insurance claims assessor used the Surface Hub to change the way in which they are working. The company he worked for ordinarily would have many different branches across many different locations, requiring the need for external visits very, very often. They used the Surface Hub to mitigate this by importing content and pictures from their clients and directly superimposing those onto the whiteboard. The dissolving of digital boundaries we spoke of is allowing digital content and analog annotations to interact together seamlessly, allowing them to appraise very quickly what they need to do on the Surface Hub. This also includes things like the site of road traffic accidents, and they're able to actually interview their clients and find out exactly what happened using the Surface Hub. The ease of use that the Surface Hub provides means that this can be done with minimal pain. Now, you won't just isolate it to content that's already on the Surface Hub. This particular insurance claims assessor also used Miracast to bring in content from his own device and allow that to interact with information on the Surface Hub. He would have content on his own Windows device that he would import into the Surface Hub and bring as part of the digital workflow easily and seamlessly by simply taking the screen clipping and pasting that onto the whiteboard. This allowed him to produce a high quality document and high quality insurance assessment claims without leaving the comfort of his house or his office, wherever he may be. Not only do you have the ability with the Surface Hub to use it for the planning stage, but also for the presenting stage, and that's exactly what this insurance auditor did. What he would do is use the OneDrive compatibility of the Surface Hub to open Microsoft PowerPoint files that he'd uploaded to his OneDrive. He would then start a slideshow where he would then present back to all of the different stakeholders as well as the clients the outcome of his insurance claims assessment. The beautiful map display means that you're able to easily see what's going on the screen, and the annotation ability of the Surface Hub means that if further explanation is needed, you can easily and quickly do so. Contributions provided by colleagues as well are able to be added to the plan very quickly and seamlessly, and the Surface Hub even allows you the chance to keep your annotations at the end of those things. These are some features that this particular insurance claims assessor found absolutely invaluable because of the contributions that people were giving to the workflow. Now, the nature of this business means that, of course, security is a massively important thing for them. The Surface Hub being a lockdown device means that when you end the session, you can simply walk away from the device and rest assured that all of your details and data will be wiped. If you are signed into PowerPoint or Word or any of the files, the single sign-on means any changes you make will be saved into the cloud, so you don't have to worry about having anything deleted as well. In our final example, an auditing company we work with used the predecessor of the 85-inch Hub 2 seen here, the 84-inch Hub 1. This story in particular really highlighted the power of Hub to present complex data simply. This auditing company used the widescreen display of the 84-inch Hub 1 to examine financial reports, specifically following auditing standards and creating a conclusive assessment of a company's annual report. They used the conferencing facilities of the Hub to meet and collaborate with their colleagues. The widescreen matte display, as well as the HD camera and the crisp audio of the Hub, allowed this auditing company to continue working remotely without disruption. Collaboration whilst video conferencing was another feature they found useful. With the ability to continue your workflow and even multitask, this company benefited from the freedom that the 84-inch Hub gave them. When their workflow required them to examine complex financial records, they were able to use Miracast to wirelessly project from their own device and continue working with their own bespoke software on the Surface Hub, utilizing Inkback and Touchback. Utilizing Whiteboard, an application native to the Hub, they were able to easily and quickly import content and annotate over it. They were able to continue in their digital workflow, all the while making use of the 84-inch Hub's strength in multitasking. As you can see, there is minimal loss in the size of a window when multitasking, when compared to the 50-inch. One of the most useful features of the Hub for this company was the security of it. Having the ability to end the session and walk away, reassured with the knowledge that the hub will wipe itself after every session, was invaluable. So to summarize, COVID-19 has presented many challenges for organizations, but equally so, it's also provided a lot of inspiration for innovation. The Surface Hub is about dissolving boundaries between the physical and the virtual world, about providing mobility and agility both in the physical and the virtual world as well, and allowing many to continue working in their digital stride by placing everything they need at their fingerprints. The lockdown nature and the security of the Surface Hub allows that you don't have to worry about your data leaking into other places, and many people in finance have most certainly benefited from it. So speak to your customers about the Surface Hub. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Yassine Hayo, Collaboration Specialist.
Awesome. I'm off mute. That's a good start. Thank you, Yassine. Great demonstration of some of the scenarios we've actually seen. As you can see, I'm lucky enough to have a hub behind me. I call it my hostage hub. As soon as we went into lockdown, the first thing I did was whiz into the office and bundle the hub into the car. Great having a hub that you can fit into a normal, well, when I say normal UK car, it's not a car that's in the US, i.e. a big 4x4. It's a normal saloon car, and I know Yassine can do the same with his hub as well. So that's the agility. So it dissolved the boundaries for me because I was able to move it into my home office. It's very agile, and it means I can stay in my digital workflow. So I am lucky enough to use hub every day. So I hope that gave you some really good scenarios that you can use with your customers. It's our intention to facilitate as much content as possible to you. So we're talking these webinars, vertical specific. We're also going to send you an ebook if you've not received that already, specific to the Surface Hub, and a great infographic that goes along with that as well. And we'll be producing some online content in a sort of presentation format that you'll be able to use. So we have got some great questions come in, so thank you so much for that. And I will keep monitoring the inbox, but the first one, Yassine, I'm going to go to you for. So it's definitely a question for our collaboration specialist, Yassine here. Can you explain the difference between Windows 10 Pro and Windows 10 Teams? Because I guess this person has seen both available on Hub, so if you can help us with that.
Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you for that, Jane. So Windows 10 Teams Edition is essentially a lockdown version that's specifically adapted for the Surface Hub. So you don't need to authenticate to a Surface Hub with Windows 10 Teams Edition. You can walk up to the device and use it. If you do want your own files and stuff on there, you simply need to log into like your OneDrive, and you can pull those files in from the cloud. And it's also got some security features that means that it wipes after every single session. Windows 10 Professional and Enterprise are the versions of Windows that most of you will be familiar with on your own devices. So you've got to log in on those devices, as well as you can even have the fingerprint reader on the Surface Hub and use those to log in. And you can make use of the full catalog of Windows 10 Professional and Enterprise applications and programs. So that's that in a nutshell.
Thank you, Yassine. So good old English phrase, horses for courses. It depends what you want to use Hub for. Hub now you can use in two different ways. One is a personal device. It can be very secure, locked down. Yassine said, the benefit to that is you can use all those professional applications that you can normally use on your own device actually onto Hub. And the second way of using it is for Hub to be that group device that's walk up and use, but still very secure. In fact, I still use Hub in that way here, but I actually can sign in to access my files and meetings as well. So I think I've got the best of both worlds with that one. Yassine, I'm going to come back to you for this one as well. Let me ask you the question. Can Hub attach to previously installed microphones and speakers into a meeting space?
So Another good question. In short, the answer is it depends. So as you mentioned, if there are some drivers or something that needs installing on the hub, then you won't be able to use them. But if you have some team certified peripheral devices that you want to connect to the Surface Hub, that's very easy.
Perfect. Thank you, Yassine. Don't know if you just heard my Teams button go in there. I got a Teams call in. Must remember to put myself on Do Not Disturb. There's so many things I'm learning here. So next question we've got coming in. Now Renee, I'm going to come to you on this one. This one has come in about, I have a customer wanting to try Microsoft Surface Hub for their meeting spaces. Oh, I do hope they've got a lot. Renee, can you take that one for us?
Yeah. There's a couple of things that you can consider. When we think about support, right? And that is, first of all, if they're a managed customer, a Microsoft managed customer, a lot of times our sellers can submit for what's called ESIF. And what that allows to do is end customer incentive funds allows then that customer to be supported, and we can oftentimes bring in professionals like CollabTech to come in and do that deployment service for the customer. Many times when we get the Surface Hub, it's not an out-of-the-box experience, and of course we have deployment guides and all those wonderful things, but we can lean on CollabTech, for example, to come in and deploy that Surface Hub. They can look at your environment, see what you're using, whether that be Intune, right, and make sure that we're getting the hub set up on your network so you can have successful deployment, and then training too. So we get these requests all the time, and so we partner with CollabTech on these things. And so with ESIF funding, there's opportunities out there for us to help support customers and make sure that sellers can fully deploy hub successfly.
Awesome. Thank you, Renee. That was a great comprehensive answer. And just to support that, we do support Microsoft with ESIF based programs such as POC deployments, and where if it's a Microsoft supported customer, we can support the customer directly with a rental hub so they can load it for 4 to 6 to 8 weeks, and we will fully support that and fully support that motion. Okay, so final question that I've got, unless any more comes in. Okay, this is an interesting question. Does Microsoft have any collateral for that whole Teams go-to-market devices? So whether it's Hub or whether it's Microsoft Teams Rooms or any other Teams certified devices. I'll probably take that one because I've been working with over the last 4 or 5 years that both the Hub team and the recently formed Microsoft Teams Rooms team and the Teams team and the OCP team. So I think it's fair to say what's happened here is the platform has grown exponentially, especially certainly over the last few months when we've seen lots more features added, and how we meet on Teams is ever evolving. So that story is ever evolving. So I can absolutely tell you that is something that Microsoft are working on right now. There's nothing that I've seen that's end-to-end available, but please bear with us. But more to the point, and back to my webinar comment, is we don't want this to just be one-way conversation. You can't talk to us through this webinar, but please reach out to us separately. Renee, you can contact me. You've got my details from the webinar. We would really like to know what you need in order to be successful, because if you're successful, we're all successful. So please reach out to us. Would love to know what it is that you need from us to do that, and we'll absolutely do our best to help and support you there. So that was a wrap on our financial services webinar. One more left in this series, and that's same time next week, where we're going to talk about public sector. So some more great examples. So once again, thank you so much for joining, and I look forward to seeing you this time next week.